Today we're having a real honest chat about what life as a flight attendant was like. I'm gonna share the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Yes, I'll be literally spilling the tea on what it was like to be an Emirates flight attendant. So grab a cup of tea, get cozy, and yeah, let's have a chat. Hold on, let's change the music to something that's really setting the mood here. That's more like it. Okay, now we can go. So, you really want to become Emirates cabin crew, or you're just curious about the lifestyle because you're an aviation fan. And yeah, I think you're in the right place for either one of those. So, yeah, being Emirates cabin crew was an amazing experience. I always say it, and I always encourage people who are thinking of doing it to take the plunge and just do it, because even if it's not perfect, no job is. But at the same time, you get so much value. Even if you have to, like struggle with different things, you get a lot of like amazing opportunities to meet new people, see new places, and earn really valuable skills that you're going to be using in the future, trust me. So let's start with work-life balance, because I feel like that was a big one for me the time that I was there. Honestly, it really does depend. See, if you love traveling and really don't mind an unpredictable schedule, then you're golden. It's a great opportunity for you. I mean, you get full days off after flying and layovers in beautiful places. Everything comes with its pros and cons. So let me give you the pros first. Traveling to new places is definitely a pro, and getting like a full 24 hours or more in those places is also a pro. Don't take this lightly, because I used to have friends who used to travel for business and they would have to go for like 24 hours and then just come back to Dubai, and they would tell me, like at least during the flight you're tired, whatever, but once you get there, you get to see the city. I don't get to see anything, and like one meeting after the other. And I actually went to work in New York last year, a few months back, and I kind of experienced the same. I was like, okay, I'm in New York, I love this city, so I'm just gonna, go out and, like explore and whatnot. And all of a sudden it was like, you're not Dorothy, and this isn't Kansas anymore. You cannot go out and explore because you gotta go to meetings. You need to go set up for the event. You need to do this, do that. It was just a freaking nightmare. So, yeah, it was definitely not cabin crew life anymore. Long work days, guys. Long work days. And I don't mean, 8 hours. No. I mean long work days. So let's say you're going to Shanghai for 24 hours and the flight is literally between 8 and 9 hours. It's gonna be a longer workday for you, because those 8 hours can turn into a 12 to 14-hour shift. You need to count the amount of time that you gotta be at the airport before the flight, which is around from like 2 to 3 hours. Then you need to think about, the time where, you're gonna be disembarking passengers, and then getting through immigration, airport. In some destinations you have like an hour or 2 hours bus ride depending. So yeah, not really a short work day. So yeah, it's pretty tiring. The other con is that you basically have to plan your life around a roster, and that means that you basically can make any plans until you get your next month's roster. And even so, you're not always going to get the days off or, like holidays that you want. So you're pretty much tied up to whatever roster you get. Personally, I loved it at first because for me, I was single at the time. I wasn't really tied down, so I could just, my roster could be whatever and it would work out. I remember it was just frustrating because if I wanted to like either go somewhere on a girls' trip where my friends were going, or I wanted to, I don't know, like go to a concert or go to someone's birthday or just have a weekend off, and I wasn't able to, it was really depressing because it gets a little lonely. We'll talk more about that later, but yeah, pros and cons, guys, pros and cons. Let's talk about a juicy one, which is love life of a flight attendant in Dubai. I needed a sip of tea before talking about that one, but I could tell you so many stories, but then again, I'm a married woman now, so I'm gonna keep those stories to myself. But I will tell you that the whole one love in every port thing, the stereotype that everyone has about a flight attendant wasn't really my thing at all. And the reality is that dating in Dubai and as a flight attendant, it's really tough because first of all, you've got this whole scheduling thing. You're like always flying. You don't always get the same days off as the rest of the civilians. And that really sucks. It's really hard to kind of coordinate a date. And maybe you go out with someone one day and then you get I don't know, a 10-day trip. And then you come back and you're like, okay, let's do a second date. And it's been 10 days and it's just, I don't know. So yeah, it's just a bit unstable. And it was really hard. I don't know if you're gonna find this shocking or not, but it was really hard to find people who weren't cabin crew or pilots that would want to date cabin crew. And I remember being on, these apps, and you would have a lot of people writing, no cabin crew, so basically it's you couldn't apply for a job no cabin crew. But no, they basically didn't want to date any cabin crew. And you know what, back then I used to take it so personally and be like, why? Oh my god, this is awful, they think I'm this, they think I'm that. But today that I'm a civilian-ish again, I can kind of get it because it's really rough. You have to be very confident to be able to date someone who's going to be flying around to exotic destinations and, hanging out with a bunch of new people every time. And then on top of that, they're going to be away for some time. You have to be very confident. Yeah, for sure. A lot of people also judged the job, which is sad, but it's true. So it's basically, if you're cabin crew, you can't do anything else. You're basically, that's it. That's you, that's what defines you. And to be fair, that's what you kind of do for yourself. I remember that for a long time, that was what defined me, right? It does become part of your identity, and it's something that I've talked about in other videos before. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's really hard to get out of that box and kind of let people who you're trying to date know, I'm so much more than that. That's just my job, there's other things that I'm interested in and that I want to do. So yeah, that was really rough. And I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, then date cabin crew or pilots. It's so much easier. Wrong. Not easier, because imagine having different rosters that are you're kind of walking past each other, so you never meet because you land at 6 a.m. that person flies out at 8 a.m. That was very common. So there were a lot of scheduling conflicts, and also the confidence thing again, because you already know what goes on layovers. You know that there's a lot of young people, and because everyone is so young, the hormones are crazy. But yeah, let's talk about what happens during flights though. I get a lot of questions about what happens in flights, on layovers. Someone even commented I think a couple of weeks back, oh, it's the I don't know, in the 3% of jobs where people cheat on their spouses the most. I mean, I've seen people cheating, yes. I don't know. I have no idea though. I've heard of people cheating. I haven't seen anyone, but I've heard of people cheating. But yeah, it's true. The fact that there are many, many young people with hormones going crazy who are just, here to have fun. And then all of a sudden you ship all of these 20-year-olds to, Mauritius on a 5-star resort where everyone could just do water sports and kind of tan by the beach and have a cocktail all together. I mean, those are great flights, but yeah, it can be a little risky, I guess. You could get tempted. I don't know. Yeah. I also get the question about, if cabin crew date pilots. There's a big age gap between pilots and cabin crew. Most pilots are around, I think the average was 50s. You have younger and you have older, but I think that was the average, or late 40s. And cabin crew, the average is I don't know, 26 or so. I remember it was something like that, roughly the numbers that they gave us in training. So of course there's a big generational gap, but in general, do flight attendants date pilots? I will not confirm nor deny. Another topic that's really, I feel like it's really important in Dubai, especially being cabin crew, is friendships. It's really, really hard to, make friends in Dubai. I feel like in general it is. Being here today, I feel like it can be a little hard. But I will tell you that as cabin crew, it was so much easier because you would meet these amazing people on board. And these were guys that are, were also doing the same job you were doing. They also, they had the same experiences. So I found it easy as cabin crew actually to make friends. And the funny thing about making friends in Dubai is the fact that they became your family. Because you're so far away from your own family that, it's someone's birthday, let's all go celebrate together. Or, I don't know, let's make a Sunday roast. Or, I don't know, let's just get together to grab a bite or a cup of coffee. And this is your family. Anytime I had anything major going on in my life, something to celebrate or something where I needed, support. These guys that were my friends, that were my colleagues at first, ended up, being there for me 100% of the time. And I don't think that's a minor thing, So yeah, I think that's definitely a pro, the fact that it's so easy to make friends. And something I also want to mention is about the glam of the job. I feel like everyone thinks it's like a super glamorous job because they see you, all made up with, your makeup, your uniform, and you're literally going to sleep in New York and waking up in Paris. And it's so fun to live like that. I enjoyed it so much, and it really did feel glamorous, but only at times. Because there's the really, really dark part. Not dark, but just not so glamorous. Like night flights, for example. Imagine having to wake up at midnight to go to a flight that, departs at 4 a.m. and then you gotta stay up for 9 hours until you make it to your destination. That was horrible. I used to hate night flights, really, really hate them. And I didn't think they were glamorous at all. I mean, having to wake up at midnight, oh my God, where am I? What's going on? And having to go to sleep literally at 4 p.m. So I'd be at least alert during the flight. That was not glamorous at all. The lack of routine was also very glamorous. Honestly, I try to, keep up with my workouts, keep up, with my meals and trying to eat healthy. But sometimes you just can't. And sometimes these flights are so long that, you gotta eat whatever's on the aircraft. And it was not glamorous. And we're not even talking about, I'm not even mentioning here the fact that, you have to handle trash and clean up vomit and all that type of stuff that you have to do. I'm not even saying that, but you do need to do all that stuff. And that's also obviously really not glamorous. Spilling a lot of tea here. And also the other unglamorous part is the fact that you have to deal with so many passengers, and sometimes these guys can be a real pain, and it's just, and tell you the most disgusting things in the sense of, they're just, mean or nasty, and they just tell you, you're worth nothing. I haven't had that a lot, but yes, I've had it. So it's emotionally draining, and yeah, definitely not a glamorous part of the job for sure. And that also brings me to the mental health aspect of the job, because I feel like that's a really big thing, and I'm not sure everyone talks about it, but I feel like it's important. Because honestly, for me, had I been more prepared as to what the job would entail and how I would feel and what was expected of me, I think I would have handled it better. I suffered from depression and anxiety for a little while, and I feel like it was the lack of information, because I could have handled myself better if I did have more information. So let me just give it to you straight. These are the things about the job that are typical, and I actually saw a lot of crew also struggling with their mental health, and I'll tell you why. The job is isolating. So you're lonely a lot of the time. You gotta eat dinner by yourself. Sometimes you just, lock yourself up in the room and you're like, I'm just gonna sleep and stay in the room and watch Netflix and just not do anything because you're just so drained and so tired. And, you just can't bring yourself to get out of that room. And that's not really healthy, but I would make myself go to the gym or go to breakfast. So I would like hang out with other people. But at the same time, my social battery is pretty limited. So imagine when you're putting someone like me or an introvert or any kind inside a plane with 500 people, all different types of energy trying to get stuff from you, and everyone like traveling for a different reason. A lot of people, if not most, very nervous about the fact that they're flying and it's a foreign environment to them. Plus you've got your seniors, everyone who's like looking at you and making sure that you do the job right and that you don't mess up, because if you do, you might get reported. So yeah, I feel like that part is really draining, and it catches up with you at some point. And also, like I mentioned before, the job has just weird hours, and that messes up with your body clock. And mind you, I'll be fair to say that, I was told about this during training. They told me, like about my circadian rhythm and how my body clock was going to be affected by this job, and they gave me tips to feel better. They did, but I honestly did not really pay that much attention. I wish I had done independent research so I would have known how intense it was going to be. And the worst part is that some crew, and I've seen this with close friends even, they turn to drinking, for example, to help them sleep. And they start with one glass of wine after, coming back home from a flight at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. And then they do two, and then they do a whole bottle. And it's really bad. But I mean, you can't blame them, because some of them suffer from insomnia. They just can't sleep because their hours are so weird. They had been, I don't know, in Asia, and then they had traveled all the way to Europe, and the time zones are completely different. So yeah, I mean, it's understandable. And if you're not careful, you could fall into something like that. And it could get worse. You gotta sleep in order to be healthy. That goes without saying. I started to feel better personally when I really took seriously my self-care. So I would do like little routines before going to sleep, before any flight, especially out of Dubai, because coming back from a layover, I didn't feel it as much because I knew I was coming back home. But leaving from here, I felt so much pressure leaving from, my hub. And, I felt like these little routines, meditating and even like doing a little mask, like kind of like lighting some incense and just, watching like a movie or something, like having a little thing that just made me feel better. I feel like all of that really helped, just like finding a support system did. So, and even my family, my dad was always tracking my flights on Flight Radar, trying to, find out where I was. And, anytime I would like walk into the hotel room and connect my phone to the hotel's Wi-Fi, I'd have like my dad's message, like, oh, did you make it to the hotel yet? And literally he had just written the message. Like, it was just crazy how much this man would stalk me. But it really makes you feel like, you're not that alone anymore. It's like people are looking after you, they're worried about you, they care. So having a support system is huge, very important. Do not underestimate that. And something that also really helped me was when I started having a life outside of aviation. So I really, the only thing I felt I really had time and energy to focus on was exercising. So I signed up for like soul cycling classes and Pilates, and I made it a point of like at least twice a week, because I'd be flying so much. So at least twice a week, I have to go to like one of these two activities. And yeah, like that, just like also like sitting down and playing my guitar during my time off. And I would make a point, also going to the beach. I'd be at the beach every single day off I had here, because I love the beach. I'm a beach bum, that's the truth. So it just soothed me, and I felt like the combination of all of those things really made me feel better. So yeah, that's like a piece of advice I'd give to anyone going into this job, because I feel like it's very easy to get lost into the whole, like novelty of the job, and oh, like I'm traveling all the time, I'm in this like 5-star hotel and whatnot. Like, yeah, okay, but don't forget about what's important, because once you do and you lose yourself, you're gonna feel like crap, guaranteed. So yeah, despite all the challenges, I always say this, I do it a million times over because it was an incredible experience. I probably tweak a few things. Like I'd probably plan better for, like I do whatever I was doing towards the end from the very beginning, and I'd plan better for during my time at Emirates, and then I'd also plan better for my life after, because maybe that would have made my transition a little smoother. But to be fair, I think that transition is never going to be really smooth, because you're changing your life drastically when you're going from an aviation job where you're flying all the time to a remote job, or an office job, or whatever job you're doing that's not flying. So yeah, I would have tried to prepare better to see if it helped me, but yeah, and I would have started therapy sooner. That's for sure. But yeah, to anyone who's doing this job, or thinking of doing this job, just plan better. Think about all aspects of your life, because your life isn't just your job. There are many different parts of you that need your attention and your love. So don't forget about them, and don't get lost in all the novelty of this job, which is amazing. But yeah, it can do that to you. If you've made it this far, I am really grateful to you. And you could just drop a plain emoji if you want below, or you could also drop a question that you want to know about the job, and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. And so yeah, I'm gonna leave here a video that I think you're going to enjoy. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.